can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious.
Here we are at You Cannot Be Serious, and I have with me, I am not above them, I am not the host, I am the co-host with these other two boys, Michael Sheehan, who I won't tell you what he's done because you all know that or you wouldn't be listening, and the great Donald Scott, who tells me the only person who calls him Donald is his grandmother. So consider me your grandmother, Donald.
And you and I, we both call him Donald.
We do.
Yeah.
Now, Mick, what
Yes.
has become apparent over the last couple of days speaking to you, that you have that edginess about you being on air or having anything to do with me out
John,
in the public arena or even privately?
For the record, let me say I've been edgy about you since 1975 when I met you on a plane trip to Perth, and ever since nothing's changed.
Why would you be
And
edgy
I'm
with
just
him?
astounded.
Listen to that question
What did he
that
say?
Donald said.
Why are you edgy?
Oh,
I'm
no.
just astounded by your propensity to find yourself in the middle of a firestorm.
Well, I would suggest that firestorm is deliberately started by others, hoping to get a reaction from people like you or the general media about my opinions about things which are quite legitimate.
Sammy, let me just digress and talk. Donald, I spoke to John the other day. We've had several animated discussions recently. And I said he reminds me of the guy who walks around town with a can of fuel under his arm, and he sees anything that might represent a fire and he tips the fuel on it.
Yeah, but you've got to understand your two different personalities. You're an amiable analytic.
Wow.
You do not
That's the
like...
nicest thing you've ever said
well,
about me.
Amiable analytic. Well, you don't like
Amiable
confrontation.
and
You don't, and he is more of a driver, and so you're going to clash anyway. So it's a good mix because you bring in one side and he's another side. So I wouldn't be offended by what he says. That's his. If he wants to say that, let him go.
And oddly enough, and this will surprise
I'm
you.
going well when he's my ally.
Yeah.
How am I going?
Well, hang on, but Michael, I get frustrated with you because you sit on the fence and don't say anything.
You cannot be serious.
I am serious.
He's been here a week and he's cooking me.
No. Now, Mick, so address some of the things that you think I throw fuel on the fire and then run. Tell me.
Well, just the other day, I mean, I don't even know what a Ferrari is. I presume it's a car, but every time I see a tweet from you, you're bagging someone. Why don't you see some joy in the world?
Well, I look at you, Mick. I find pleasure and enjoyment. You make me serene and amiable. I'll tell you about the Ferrari.
I don't care about the Ferrari.
Well, because the people I speak to on Twitter, a lot of them are race fans and a lot of them are petrol heads, and Ferrari are the most dysfunctional sports team in the world. They are only...
You can't be
Sam,
serious, man.
Don
You
and I
cannot
get
be serious.
some joy out of what happens in the world.
Well,
There's got to be some event that makes you smirk, smile, chortle.
I am giving people an opportunity to either agree or disagree with my opinions like everyone does on the social media. And I have taken a belting.
He's got an ego that's got to be satisfied. So you just go along with that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And the other thing, Michael, the greatest horror story that Skyhook sung about it in the 1970s, early 70s, was at the news. You tell me what is a good news story. You tune in and it's all...
Yeah, that's true.
You know, they're all bad stories. There's not one good... And good news stories don't sell.
He's come a long way, Donald.
No, he's
from
come
where?
nowhere. He's got nowhere. You live in a cave down.
I do, and you want to come in the cave and you might learn something.
So this is me now. For giving this 30 seconds, I have taken a belting. From people who have no interest in listening to what I said. I've become the face of a documentary that wouldn't have gone anywhere unless I'd been the main focal point and advertising slogan for it.
Okay.
And I've taken exception to the fact that no one listens to what I said, but just go to the next level.
John, you've got a choice, John, and you can either do it or don't. And
I didn't have a choice, Donald. They purloined or they took what I said 2 years ago on the Footy Show and used it as the headline act for a
you're in the
documentary.
media and you're long enough in the media to know what happens in the media. So just cop it and get on with it.
For the record, Donald, though, Sam has landed in hot water again over the Adam Goods stuff, but I unequivocally say that I don't believe your comments on Adam Goods are racially driven.
So in order for you to say that, you are saying The comments, you don't believe, the comments I made about Adam Goodes were based on the fact that he's Aboriginal.
No, I don't.
Right, well, after that, the rest of it is just bullshit.
Yeah, but I must say I was staggered when you drew the parallel, or you conjoined Goodes and Sun Yang.
No, so there you go, Mick.
Well,
You have either deliberately or not familiar with what I was getting at. Or I was defending myself, saying that just because I said Adam Goodes got booed for the way he played, I was accused of being a racist. No one said that the Chinese swimmer was a Chinaman and therefore that's racist. They just said what he did. That's why they said they were booing him.
The Chinese swimmer is a drug cheat.
But that's,
And we'll talk about that, Donald.
hang on.
Drugs.
The drugs.
I'd like to talk, getting back,
So
just let
you're
this
joining
racism...
the fact that I'm thinking Donald Goodes, that Adam Goodes, that is not co-joined with him, Sun Yang
Conjoined,
being
isn't it?
Co-joined,
Is it
whatever.
really?
That's not aligned with him being a drug cheat. I was saying that no one said that it was racist to point out that he took drugs, and I said, why is it racist for me to point out that people were booing Adam Goodes for the way he played? That's
Gentlemen,
all I'm
could
saying.
I just come in and say something? I listened to an interview. Gilbert McAdam was on radio. I don't know where I was driving. It was last week. I learnt more about the Aboriginal or the Indigenous people from Gilbert McAdam in 5-minute interview, and I would say based on that, we should have in our school curriculum a thing about the Aboriginal people, what they believe in, what they don't believe in. And
So-
I thought it was just so enlightening.
Good. So let me ask. Good. Well, let's enlighten the. What did you learn about the Aboriginal
Well,
people?
their
you didn't
connection
know?
with the land, and Gilbert made the statement that he wouldn't have he wouldn't have been sitting there had he have followed what the outback Indigenous people believe in and whatever else. Their attachment to the land is so strong that he wouldn't have become a footballer. And
So are you saying that he said that to his detriment, or that was a
No,
bonus?
no. It was just enlightening me and just enlightening me especially to the Aboriginal
But Donald,
culture.
when you said
and I
he
think that
wouldn't
should
have
be taught in our schools.
But you said he wouldn't have become a footballer, but the Indigenous people say that our game of football is based on the game of football they play.
No, hang on. You're taking it away from what I said. I said there should be Aboriginal
that's not
studies
like
within
him.
our curriculum, our educational curriculum.
See, you're even having trouble. They take away. They don't listen to what you say, and then go
Who's
on.
they?
To it. Well, people.
Yeah.
He accused you just then of not listening to what he was on about.
And he was incorrect.
He was, as it turns out.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. The people who accuse me of being a racist are incorrect because they have no idea what they're talking
To
about.
suit you here, John, they hear what they want to hear.
Exactly. We all do, Michael. In life, we
Did you
hear
know
what
the
we want to hear.
Aboriginal folk had been here for 60,000 years?
And I think what we did is a travesty of
What
justice.
did we do, Donald?
The way we came in.
We arrived at Botany Bay.
That's right.
So what happens if we hadn't arrived at Botany Bay?
Well,
What would happen? Where would we be?
us.
I don't know where we'd be.
That's right, exactly. Well, are you going to say that white people settling in Botany Bay in 1788?
We are a
was it?
very aggressive race. Caucasians are very aggressive.
Yeah.
And we're from English stock. And the English,
Caucasians.
the
Have you been to the
English
Middle
are the
East
most
of late?
the aggressive race in the
Holy-
world.
Have you been to Russia, China, the Middle East? Have you been?
You
over
didn't
there?
even listen to what I said.
Of course I did, Donald. You're talking about thousands of years ago. We're
I'm not
about-
talking only hundreds of years ago. In fact, the English raided the Falklands. They wanted a war a couple of years ago.
Righto. Now,
They were defending a territory
An island.
Well, I thought
because someone was trying to take it over.
Sammy.
Another power. Yes.
this is football oriented, isn't it?
Oriented?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
go ahead.
Well,
it's getting
this is-
very exciting.
This is directed at both of you. The Fremantle coach Ross Lyons said at the end of round 19, there's a lot of mediocrity around and we sit in that, and he's referring to the Dockers. I think the first part of that sentence is illuminating.
In what way?
Well, there is a lot of mediocrity. The team,
The system.
Serious!
the team that sits eighth at the moment, therefore, should play finals.
What is?
Has won 50% of its games. What sort of
Michael,
competition are we running?
Exactly right. It's an unfair competition where we play. Some teams play one another twice, others don't,
Yes.
only once, and the final eight rewards mediocrity.
Correct.
A mediocrity, Donald.
Oh, sorry. Just because you have learnt every word, you're a dummy, and you've learnt every word in the dictionary. That's all you've got a retentive memory.
If I may, mediocrity.
Intellectual dyslexia.
Mediocrity is the word, not mediocrity.
Righto.
I was just trying to
Okay.
help you there.
Thank
See,
you.
you live in a cave.
We know the essence of what he was saying.
Oh, I see.
Thanks,
So
Michael.
we could just bastardise the language, can we? Just so everyone understands. Let's speak phonetically.
Talking about bastardised. Yeah,
Get back to mediocrity. Get back to the subject.
Mediocrity, Donald, don't say it again. So maybe Ross Lyon should have said, I am involved in the mediocre world because I have become mediocre.
Yeah, well, he's he intrigues me, Ross Lyon.
Humorous or
No,
intriguing?
certainly not humorous.
I see.
Intriguing.
Humorous.
Intriguing. In what way?
Well, I don't know why there's a fascination with Ross about this genius of a coach. I mean, they're going to miss the finals, Freo, for I think the fourth year running, are they not?
I thought they should have won it the year after they played. They shouldn't have lost the grand final they played in number one.
Against
Well, they did.
Hawthorn?
Yes, I think it was. They shouldn't have lost that game. And if there was any gumption or character in that Fremantle team, they would have come back and won the next year with the talent that they had.
So we get back to football.
Mediocrity.
Mick, please. I'll punch you.
No, don't do
No, I
that.
wouldn't.
That's
Just
See some humour in things.
Just
laugh.
seeing humour in both of you numbskulls, I'll tell you that. So, Donald, so last week we chatted about...
We did.
We chatted about the rise of sides who changed their coach. Now, you just said that the players were at fault with Ross Lyon. They should have gone on and won another premiership or played in another grand final, Donald. You weren't sheeting at home to the coach.
Or
I'll
were you?
repeat that.
Yeah, thank you. I was
you
was somewhere
think-
else.
He didn't say he wasn't. He hasn't explained his rationale for why they didn't go on the next
so
year.
just
Players or coach?
Just throw
Who's
out
at fault?
those lines and let us pick them up.
The players are at fault.
Yep.
I mean, what worries me is it's flowing on into junior football. Now, I follow the Morning Peninsula League, and Mount Eliza, with 4 or 5 games to go, have followed the AFL and sacked their senior coach. I mean, what is the point? Partway through a season, you've got a
I'll tell you
contract
the
in
point.
place. It's for 12 months or whatever the period is.
Well, I'll tell you
Why do it midstream?
Well, I'll tell you the point.
What?
Have a look at how Carlton are going all of a sudden. Have a look at how St Kilda are going all of a sudden.
Well, who's that an indictment on?
We've done this, the players, Donald.
And also the administration for their appointment to and the length of the contract given to the coach.
Oh, talking about that, Simon Goodwin was reappointed in March this year for a further 3 years on top of the year he had. Why do football clubs, insert whichever name you find appropriate, have this need to reappoint coaches who are not going to go anywhere?
The boards are very frightened, Michael, of the supporters and how they're viewed in the supporters' eye. Now, Goodwin, that was at the start of the year, and you would have thought that Melbourne were going to be on a roll after last year, something to prove. I thought they were very good but exceptionally disappointing in that preliminary final. And at the start of the year, Melbourne received a lot of kudos, which I don't think was deserved, and that's coming to haunt them now. And they had to do something good.
What do you mean they had to do something? He was already committed to coach them.
But they've extended the contract.
Why?
Exactly. Why?
You cannot be serious.
Because-
you cannot be
Big,
serious.
I'm saying it
Because-
just to appease the supporters.
Because, Donald, because they fear that that coach, because he had a good tenure of office up until then, might be persuaded to go elsewhere, so they'll nail him down, and that is the judgment that they make. We've said this before, Mick. You and I have said this before. Donald hasn't said it before because he hasn't been with us before. But we've said, why would you sign anyone?
What is funny?
Why would you sign anyone more than 2 years as a coach ever?
Yes.
Just sign them, and at the end, as 18 months comes, you say, we're reviewing you, we're going to sign you for another 2, or we're not just quite ready to make that decision yet.
Can't lock in for 4 or more years, can you?
Of course you can't.
And they're all getting probably
Because-
an average of $700,000 or $800,000 a year.
Because your success is predicated on the cattle you have, the people you have playing for you.
Depends on also, Michael, what the team is about. And if you're a bottom team, it's a 5-6 year process to
Don,
get back up there.
In your words, Melbourne weren't a bottom team. Melbourne finished in the preliminary final last year.
They got carried away with their
the fraternity was gung-ho about what was going to happen this year.
That's right, and they got carried away with the publicity they received over the summer months. I thought it was just over the top.
Yeah. Okay. Do we
What
want
do
to
you-
talk about football?
Because these are just platitudes, Donald. I mean, we can make a case for anything. Once you know the result, you can actually make a case for why it shouldn't have been or why it should have been.
I'm not making a case for it now. I thought that at the
predicting
time.
the future is what makes people credible. It's all right to say they got carried away with the publicity they had. Well, why wouldn't they? They've been in the wilderness for bloody 30 years.
That's why you appoint people to positions in authority so they make rational decisions.
Thank you.
So this is the discussion we had about whether the top office should be football oriented.
Thank you.
Why does he keep thanking us?
Not
Because
sure.
you're starting to get to the real crux of the matter.
I'm not agreeing with you.
You're not agreeing.
No, I'm not. I
Donald?
said this is the discussion we had about whether the top office is football oriented or they're business people and run the club, and the bottom office decides the football decisions.
You've got to have a knowledge, and the top office should have a knowledge of the product to oversee what's going on.
Or how about they get advised? They delegate
No,
their
don't
authority.
get advice. In any business, if you don't know your business and you're not, if you're in control of you don't know the business,
So
get
when
out.
you ran a clothing outlet,
That's right.
What?
Yes, I did.
No, I didn't ask you. I said, when you did, did you know how to make jeans? Could you get to a sewing machine and sew them up and make a...
No, but I knew how they fitted and what...
I know, you put them on, see if they fit around your
you
guts.
go back to the manufacturer and say, these are not cut right.
That's right. So you didn't know how to make the jeans, but
No, I
you knew
didn't
how
know
to you knew how to sell them.
Yes, I knew
Well, then
what
you
was
had no
selling.
knowledge of making jeans.
I
but you-
did, because I knew what the final product was, and that was to be able to
So if
sell
I
them.
gave you
Doesn't matter how well they were made. I mean,
if I gave you a roll of denim, could you go out the back, cut it up, and make a pair
No.
of jeans? Of course, you couldn't.
Hey,
You could hardly put them on.
what are we doing talking
head.
about denim? Can I ask you about...
That's what jeans are made out of.
This
Nick.
is the
what
elephant,
it is.
the elephant in the room.
What about denim?
You two, come on. Now, Shania Jack. Is that how you pronounce her
Yeah,
name?
Shania.
Shania Jack. How would Mac Horton be feeling
She's guilty too.
well, just Jesus.
Just wait.
Can you just,
Wait.
just
You cannot
hold,
be serious!
hold that bomb just for a second, Donald. How would how would Mac Horton be feeling upon the revelation that
He'd be very,
a teammate
very
of his
embarrassed.
had failed a drug test?
Very
The
embarrassed.
biggest, quite a good question. The biggest question is how extraordinarily inconvenient for us when we take the moral high
Yes,
ground to be
yeah.
suddenly faced with that. Now, Mac Horton is going to be faced with a very, very controversial and difficult decision if he is authentic. He has now almost got to say to Swimming Australia, I refuse to be in a team with this person because I made a stand against a Chinaman. I think it's all right to say
Yeah,
Chinaman.
it's
isn't
okay.
it?
Yeah.
Chinese person. Chinaman.
Yeah, he'd be a Chinaman.
He would be.
He's a male of Chinese descent, yes.
Chinaman. I made a stand about him being a drug cheat, and the unfortunate thing about the Australian swimming authorities, they knew that Shania had failed. She wasn't under suspicion. She had been tested and had failed, and they still...
Had failed the A sample.
And the B sample that's now come out.
Has it?
Yes.
Has
So-
it really? Oh, well,
So
she's done then.
Our credibility, no, but that she might be done. But our credibility as a holier than thou nation of sports purists just disappears in a trice.
Well, Mac Horton, Don, should have gone into Swimming Australia and, to borrow from Will Fowles' behaviour, kick the door in and said, how could you let me make this stand
Correct, Mick.
on the world stage when you know
They
that one of my
were unaware
teammates-
of what he was going to do.
No, but he should have known that she'd already transgressed at that point.
Yeah. They said she...
That's right, but
Yeah.
no. They do not. It's the athlete's decision as to when it comes out.
Well, why? This is the point,
This
Donald.
is what
She
Swimming
said
Australia and the athlete make the decision as to when they're going to announce.
It shouldn't be up to the athlete.
No,
Well, I'm
That's
sorry,
right.
but it is.
but it shouldn't be, Donald. She said she withdrew
There's a legal
for personal
She
said she withdrew for personal reasons. The personal reasons was that she'd been sprung taking a banned substance, and Swimming Australia should have got on the front foot and said, look, we're pretty embarrassed about this in light of what's going on, and we are going to investigate how this happened, and she is innocent until proven guilty. She could have had her stuff tampered with. We're going to have a full investigation.
Yep, I agree.
Donald?
No, I think she's guilty.
And Sam's question, Sam said
She's
to me,
guilty.
We're having a coffee before, and Sam raised this question. Should Mac Horton refuse to have anything to do with Shania?
Shania,
Yeah.
should, or swim in the same team, or
Yeah.
get in the same bus, or
Yeah.
make a statement about it. Saying,
No, he shouldn't make it. He did the right thing when they were trying to get words out of his mouth last night as he was getting on the bus.
What did he say?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely
just-
nothing. He's
So-
guilty if he does, and he's guilty
so
if he...
you're saying he said the right thing by saying nothing.
Exactly.
That's an oxymoron, Donald.
I don't care. Whatever he
Do
said...
you know what
he
an
will-
oxymoron is? I know. I'm sure you know what half that word means, but I'm not sure if you know what oxy means.
But Donald, you say he's entitled to say nothing.
No.
He made the most powerful statement in world
I
sport
know that, but
10
with
days ago.
regard to his teammate, swimming teammate, he said exactly what he should have said, and that was nothing.
Jeez, it is embarrassing, I must say. 12 months
Very,
out
very embarrassing.
from the Olympics.
But also,
it
gentlemen,
is.
can
Is
I
that us?
also throw in something here that they're still investigating samples taken from the 212 London Olympics.
2012.
2012 London Olympics. And do you realise that there's 60 medals been taken from athletes who have tested positive?
From the 2012 Olympics.
Since the
60.
Olympic,
How do you know
60.
this?
I'm well researched,
You
Michael.
are. You haven't read a paper for 30 years.
That's
How would
right.
you know what's happening?
Bush Telegraph.
That's just a minute. They've taken 60 medals from the 2012 Olympic team.
From
that date.
No, from whoever received a medal, their testing obviously has become more sophisticated. They're caught up with the various drugs
So
that are around, and
16.
that's
So
right. And they're
two
still
Olympics-
investigating samples from 212 and 60
It'll be
medals.
still 2012, Donald.
Thank you,
Donald.
60 medals have been taken from those
In
athletes
two
who tested
Olympics,
positive.
In two
Is that
Olympics.
true?
That's true.
The 2012 and the 2016 Olympics, they've taken 60 medals from people.
No, not 2016. I said 12.
Well, they're every 4 years, the Olympics.
I understand, John.
So in one Olympics, they've taken...
That's right. Since those Olympics, they're still testing.
Are you sure that
No.
they've taken medals off 60 people?
No, you're not sure.
I am sure. I heard it this morning.
They've taken 60 medals awarded to Olympians
That's
in the
right.
2012 Olympics.
That's
Was
what
that
this
London? Where
gentleman was
that?
saying on radio this morning.
Anything in the papers about that?
No.
Wow.
I don't believe that.
No, well, I struggle to believe that.
But we're not saying you're wrong, Donald. We're saying we're sceptical.
We're not saying you're wrong,
I've got a
Don.
feeling you have no idea because you got that quizzical. It looks like you got wind.
So I'd just make I'd make a statement like that up without.
Well, you've heard someone
I've
say it
heard
and you
it.
haven't checked it.
I heard it on
How about you
radio this
fact
morning.
check it?
Okay, righto. So I think we're done with that. Put that on hold. Sammy, I want to ask you a question.
Right,
I don't know what you're looking at,
No, I was
but-
gonna, I've got a whiteboard here and I'm looking at.
Oh, okay. Well, so I
They're
can't see it
topics.
because I'm got my back to it. You played with a bloke called
I wasn't saying you had to look at
Jack
it. I was looking
Hawkins?
at it, yes.
and you played against him, Donald, and his son Thomas just played his 250th game.
Yes.
Who is the better Hawkins, do you think?
No, that's
Good question, that.
Well, it's an unanswerable question because it's strictly, absolutely the epitome of a hypothetical
Oh,
question.
go on.
Well,
Well, of course it's
like
hypothetical.
Gary
no,
Ablett.
no, it's
You
not
can't
hypothetical.
compare
It's a matter
eras,
of opinion.
Michael. You cannot compare eras.
I'll tell you this: Jack Hawkins was a fantastic footballer.
Yeah.
He was consistent and solid and capable. Tom Hawkins is inconsistent but brilliant.
I like that.
brilliant and strong, a leviathan, a competitor, but not as consistent as his father.
No, but
And they
more
play in
likely to turn a game of football.
Correct,
though. Yeah.
because Jack played at centre
Yeah,
half back.
I understand.
No,
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
not being facetious.
That's all. I was just I watched. I like both of them. I thought Jack was underrated.
He was.
And I watched Tommy yesterday.
He was thrown to the Jack under. I thought you meant Tom. I thought he was thrown to the Lions very early in his career. Tom Hawkins.
What's that mean?
Yeah,
well,
what's that mean?
he was a boy playing a man's game,
Well, when
and I
you're-
think they were wanting. He just wasn't physically ready to play AFL football.
Donald, when you how old were you when you started? When I started, he's me, I.
Yeah.
When I
Actually,
started,
you started what, 18, 17?
17, I
That's
started.
unbelievable. That
Be
is
serious.
I can be serious. My first game was on Paddy Ganane, and honestly, it was like someone from Biafra, that's me, or Biafra, playing on Gorgeous George, the power wrestler of the day. It was extraordinary. If he actually broke wind on me, he would have splintered my legs. Talk about
You
being.
cannot be serious.
my first game was against Ray Gablick.
Was it
straight
really?
out of school.
How heavy and how big and
I
tall
was
were you?
13 stone. He was about 16, 17.
all of that, yeah.
He was a massive man.
So why you
What's the
giving
analogy?
some license to
Well,
Tommy?
I think he was thrown to the expectation was too great, and they were expecting something that he just couldn't
What, in
deliver.
his
And he was
first
maligned. Yes, in his first few
But
years.
we're talking about now in toto. We're talking about their careers.
I think he could be a little
holistically.
bit more imposing than what he is.
Well, what now?
Yes.
Because he's inconsistent, Donald. He's when he's on song, as we say, he is unbeatable. But he goes missing.
This inconsistency.
But which full forward doesn't?
Well, there's not a full forward, a designated full forward playing today.
Exactly.
The people like Dunstall and Lockett and
Coleman.
Okay, call him a key
Coleman.
forward.
Pratt.
Call
I'm
them-
talking about people that we can remember.
I know, and we do not give enough respect to the history of the game.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I mean, John Coleman, I read his first game, 12 goals,
Yes.
first year, best and fairest,
Yep.
and played in a grand final.
Yes.
That is just
And
outstanding.
Finished when he was 24
I'm
and
doing
played-
a doco on John Coleman.
You are?
I am, yes.
Right.
See if you can
For
keep
Fox
me
Footy.
out of it, will you?
Well, no, you won't. Unless there's something
I've
controversial,
gotta say,
you won't
see
be
if
in
you
it.
can
Yeah.
get
And
me on
Pratt
the racism side of it.
must have been an unbelievable
You know,
footballer.
Pratt kicked. You know, there's two blokes who've kicked 150 goals in the history of this game.
Yes, I know one of them, and you do too.
And Peter Hudson and Bob Pratt, and neither of them won the best and fairest that year.
And also, Pratt.
Serious.
Now, I didn't know that.
That is true.
Disgraceful.
How many games did Hudson play in that year as comparison to Pratt?
Hudson played 25, and that's an average of 6 a game.
And what about
And
Pratt?
he kicked 40% of Hawthorn's goals and didn't win the best and fairest.
And what about Pratt?
That's criminal.
I said to a bloke the other, it's Jeff Slattery told me that, and I said Hudson should sue over that.
He should make a civilian arrest, go down and apprehend the committee who voted on that and charge them with stupidity.
There's a better one. When Bob Pratt won it, didn't win the best and fairest in 1934 with his 150 goals from, I think, 20 games.
That is an unbelievable
He went to a
feat.
committee man and he said, 150 goals, I didn't win the best and fairest. The bloke said, we didn't think you were consistent enough.
Oh, that's
Not be serious.
so
That's my favourite line in history.
this
that.
is people in
he
the
only
top
averaged
office.
7 a game.
Donald, to your point, this is people in the top office knowing nothing
Yeah.
about football. Now, so
Yeah.
so
Is that
mod-
why Tom Morrow came to you and said you played dead today?
Did he say that?
He did. My word, he did.
Tommy Morrow.
1969, Geelong kicked 7 goals, I think, in the grand final
Yeah.
against Richmond.
Yeah.
We got beaten by 100 points. And in the club rooms, when we got back on the bus, he came to Ken Newland and I. We're standing sort of pretending to have a drink and looking a bit jovial. And he said, I'd wipe the smile off your face. He said, I want to ask you a question. He said, did you take money to take a dive today?
It's real.
And I said...
You can't be serious, man. You
And
cannot
I said,
be serious.
I said exactly that. I said, are you serious? He said, I won't say the word. He said, I'm deadly effing serious. And I wiped the smile off my face quickly.
You'd be offended by that.
I was because it wasn't right, of course.
Yeah.
I was bemused by
That's
it. but-
insulting, isn't it?
well, he was just passionate and emotional.
Still
And,
insulting.
Well,
We were accused of that in
didn't
1975.
affect my relationship with him. He was a very good man. So gone are Kappa, Modra, Dunstall.
I thought we were talking about you throwing the game in '69.
Well, we were talking about power forwards.
But what did you do? Did you want to punch him? Did you?
No, did you know Tom Morrow?
Yeah, I did know
you
Tom.
wouldn't want to punch him, no.
No, but that is
Why?
Tom
that's the-
could break a swan's wing with the blow of his nose.
Donald, how would you have been if someone had have accused you
Well, we
of
were.
not giving your best?
We were. In 1975, John Kennedy came to us and said, over pre-season, people have come to him and asked, did the Hawthorn players get paid or did they lay down in the 75
So
grand
it's a
final?
tactic. It's a tactic, isn't it? It's a
No,
tactic.
the Morrow one wasn't. That was in the heat of the
Well,
the
I
battle.
tell you what, you believe it or not, you'll think that this is nonsense, but actually, I took it almost as a backhanded compliment that.
Geez, you are different.
I took it as a backhanded compliment because I was a very good player in that year, very good player. In fact, I was all Australian in that year.
You can say it.
You say it a bit louder, John.
No,
You're allowed to be all
I was
Australian.
one of the key players in that side, if not the key player, and I was shocking, and so was Ken Newland, and probably the fortunes of the club rode on us being competitive, and we were not.
Who did you play on?
Um,
Did you play in the ruck or did you play?
yes,
Yeah.
played in the ruck on Ronald.
John Ronaldson?
I think.
Yeah.
Mike Green.
Mike Green, of course.
Yeah.
Crow.
But Mike Green played
No,
well
Neville,
in
Neville
every...
Crow
No,
never
No.
played in a premiership team. No.
this wasn't a premiership.
Was
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't.
Didn't they beat you?
No, that wasn't a premiership.
What-
This
what
was
game
in the
was it?
First or second semi-final.
Okay.
Yep, wasn't a premiership.
Well, Richmond won it in '69.
Yeah, well, they beat us by 100 points to get into the grand final.
Gee.
Richmond had a good team.
Or so did we, Donald.
No, not as good as Richmond.
Well, as it turns out, no.
Hey, Don, am I allowed to keep asking questions or not?
Yeah, you've done a bit of
seem to
work.
You seem to think, Mick, isn't it, Mick?
It is, yeah.
You seem to think that this is a triumvirate, that you're the second or third fiddle in
No,
it.
I don't.
We are equal.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Donald, explain this to me. You're the football expert here. Do you like that, Sammy?
No.
Cannot be serious.
Hawthorn go down to Hobart where they've played 3,000 games and they played Brisbane, where Brisbane have played there about twice. Hawthorn kick 111 from set shots and Brisbane kick 6-3 and Hawthorn lose. Explain that to me.
Well, you just have those days. You
that's
just
a
have
cop-out,
those
isn't it?
days. It's not a cop-out. You just have those days. You're on...
111.
Yes. If you
Sam?
keep kicking for goal, eventually it's going to turn the other way. So you just don't worry about the score. Just keep...
Professional footballers kick 111.
I'll tell you why it happens, Donald. And you touched on it earlier, but you've forgotten why you touched on it. Because the game is played in such a haphazard fashion and Hawthorn mess round with the ball so much that they have no designated goal kickers. They force the ball out to the boundaries and make the shots a lot harder than they should be because they don't play corridor football when it counts. And they end up bamboozling themselves. Possession is not 9/10 of the law necessarily in this game. It's being constructive and positive as to where you kick it and when.
Wow.
Don't ask me to repeat that.
I don't know.
I don't know what it meant.
I didn't see the game, but are you taking something away from Brisbane? Could they have put Hawthorn under
No,
pressure?
no,
the
Donald.
forwards under
These
pressure?
are set shots.
Oh, set shots.
Yes.
You didn't say set shots.
So
Well-
I get back. So you just criticise me for saying why are we talking about that? Because there's no designated goal kickers this day, a la the boys that have kicked 100 goals in the last 25 years. Kappa, Lockett, go through them, Hudson, all of them. There are no designated forwards, and that's why our game is in stagnation. Some of them are exciting games, and most of them aren't. Did you watch the Storm play Manly on Friday?
No.
that was
Holy
exciting.
mackerel.
That was exciting.
That's almost the best game
Yep.
of sport you'd ever see. It
Really?
was fantastic.
Yeah.
No.
Solid,
Came down
strong,
to field goals.
solid, strong, capable men, skillful, not being influenced by umpiring decisions, playing tough, concerted football.
I watched the game between GWS and Port Adelaide.
Yes.
And I thought it was really instructive. At the end of the game, they interviewed Phil Davis, who's the most articulate footballer in the competition.
Yes.
And he was really pleased that they won, obviously. And he made the comment, he said, I would have hated to have watched this. And this is a bloke out there, a practitioner saying that. But what about us at home?
Yeah, so we get accused.
Oh, that's the other thing you said in the tweet, yeah. You said you were talking about this great game, and you said, no, it wasn't GWS and Port Adelaide.
That's correct, because they won by a point, did they?
Yes, they did.
So and you'd say, well, that must be exciting. Well, it's exciting because the result
close.
was in
Yep.
balance.
Yep.
But if you compare that to what was going on the other station or the other arena, Amy, that was just a game of football played at the highest intensity and the highest skill level that game can muster.
Do you watch that too, Donald?
No, I
Rugby League?
No, I saw the last part of it.
Did you? Why did you?
Because it was then I was doing a channel flick, and there it was.
And you decided because it was close and it was good.
I don't usually watch home and away rugby league.
So you gave the AFL game away, which was
I'll
close.
watch the netball too. The
can't be
netball's very
serious.
good.
You did. No, I'm with John.
Cannot be serious.
I'm with John McEnroe here.
Yep,
You
so am
cannot
I.
be serious.
What, netball?
You're watching the netball ahead of a game between two potential finalists with a kick in it.
You ever watch the curling when it's come on?
No, that's boring.
You know, and they have that
That's
brush
boring.
and they polish the thing in front of those stones, those granite stones.
That's right.
How exciting is that?
Very boring.
It is extremely boring, Donald. So coming up, so just finishing on the football, we don't have to finish on the football. If ever there's going to be a round of football or a game of football in round 21, not next week, in round 21, will be Essendon playing the Western Bulldogs. That will decide possibly, I think, who gets into the
round.
final.
Are we talking about round 21 or 20?
We're talking about the round after next. The next week's rounds are Lions.
Essendon and Port Adelaide, isn't it?
Essendon playing Port Adelaide.
Yep.
And then Adelaide playing St Kilda and Lions playing the Western Bulldogs. They are three extremely important games in the overall scheme of things.
Do you think if St Kilda were to beat Adelaide, I reckon Don Pike's for the high jump?
Oh, do you think it's the coach the problem?
Well, yes, I do. Yep.
Why?
This team went into the 2017 grand final
Yes.
as the unbackable favourite, and they haven't
Yes.
been warm since.
No, well, we should give Don just the benefit of the round next week to see if he can beat
Well,
St Kilda.
they're
But
only
I
50% this year.
Take your point, Mick. Which means if they changed, how about if they changed Don Pike if St Kilda beat them with 3 games to go and the person that took over got them wins and into the finals?
Yeah.
What would that mean?
Well, I think it proves. I mean, Don's right about it being an indictment on the players. I accept that, right? But it also does say that the coaching group, the football departments, need to look at how boring they are to their players and how they drive them into submission. They're too negative. They treat them like they're school children. Let them play.
Do you think also there might be a justification of these people in the football departments of their position?
Maybe, yeah, probably.
And there's too many meetings.
Yep.
Yes.
They've
No
got
doubt.
to justify. In other words, I've thought this for a long time. There are too many coaches. I mean, football is not rocket science. It's a very, very simple game. And do you think you've got to complicate it by having all these people having their various meetings?
Tacticians and physicians and
dietitians.
time and study motion experts and rocket scientists and nuclear physicists.
And the fitness and conditioning people who determine
Yes.
what players do.
Exactly
I mean,
right.
if the forwards can't practice their goal kicking because
And
some bloke
ruckman
says
can't-
they might do a groin or a hamstring.
That's right.
Right.
You cannot be serious.
We done with that?
Yep.
Have you ever called someone's bluff not knowing what the answer is going to be? So never call, here's a proverb you can take
I
with you,
agree.
know.
Yeah.
Never call
You've
someone's
called someone's bluff.
Yeah, and then been surprised at the answer. Yeah.
You should always know the answer.
I think you should always know the answer before you call their bluff.
Well, in a journalistic sense, I believe that. You shouldn't ask a question you don't know the answer to.
What about George Columbaris, Gary Mehigan and Matt Preston called Channel 10's bluff and asked them for an extra 400 grand
They didn't
each?
call
You
didn't
can't
call
be
their bluff. They
serious,
lied.
man.
They didn't
You
win.
cannot be serious.
Holy
I think they
mackerel.
called their bluff, Don.
Don, they went to Channel 10 management and said, we want a increase, a substantial increase in salary to be on MasterChef, and Channel 10 knocked them back.
That's right.
But George Columbine's disputed that.
Well, he would, wouldn't he?
Well, he has. He said
We're going to India.
No, he said we were prepared to accept their offer.
Oh, I didn't read that.
He said that was in the. You don't read any paper.
No, hang on, Mick.
He said that at the weekend.
They asked for an increase in salary.
Yes.
And 10 knocked them back.
Well, not according to Columbine. He said that they were prepared to accept what Channel 10 put on the table.
Well, so 10 sacked them.
10 didn't meet their other conditions, which weren't about money, as I understand it.
What was it then? No, so did they resign?
Did anyone else read that?
No, I didn't. No.
Did they resign or were they sacked? I
They
understand
weren't sacked.
that
They just did their contract.
was not renewed.
That's right.
Well, it's
not sacked.
Of course it is. Of course it is, Donald. This is so. As I understand it, they went to 10 and said they want a substantial increase to do the next season of MasterChef, and 10 told them, no, we're not. It's not acceptable what you've asked.
Well,
they decided to walk.
Well, if I accept what Columbine said, he said that they were prepared to accept what Channel 10 offered.
Isn't Columbine?
Well, why didn't they?
Wasn't it a sweet in the old days, Columbines? Do you remember those Columbines? Polly Waffle still going? Choo-choo bars?
Yeah. Sherbet bombs.
Sherbet bombs.
Yeah, how were they?
Oh, I didn't like. Oh, yeah, they were. Yeah.
What was your favourite, Sammy? When you
Don,
were at
we
school?
keep this short. I've got to get back to the planet Earth shortly. What the hell is he talking about? Now, listen, Columbine.
Didn't you have a sweet shop at Port Lonsdale? Sweet, lolly shop, confectionery shop.
You're starting to amuse me,
Now,
Donald.
did you have a favourite? If you had a shilling to spare,
Shilling?
what would you have done with it?
Bliss bombs.
What about
Lolly,
fruit tingles?
See?
gobble, bliss bombs.
You cannot
Fruit
be
tingles for
serious.
threepence.
Threepence. Jesus H. Christ.
This is
So what my point is that they said, the three of them, that we're not accepting it, or they got sacked.
we're
Did they
going-
get sacked, or
well-
did they resign?
Look, I think Jack may be able to stumble across this.
Anyhow, she's doing some research,
Yes.
our able assistant here.
Yep.
So while we're doing some research, then they said, I heard one of them say that they thought they'd like to get into the market in India. Good God, what market would that be? Get into the food industry in India?
There's only 1.3 billion people
Yeah,
there.
and what would they be eating?
Well, they've got a
Careful.
following. Yeah,
Or
they've got a
could go to
following.
China in Dog Week. You know, China.
do
Do you know China has a week where they eat dogs?
Oh, Johnny. What do you have to bring this? What?
China has a.
Jacinta, can Jacinta speak?
Now, hang on, Jack. No one can hear you. Speak into here. Come over here. Speak in. This is Jacinta.
They left the show after a pay dispute and a good deflection from Colin Barras being sacked, I'd say.
Okay.
Okay, so they
there
got
was a
sacked.
deflection. Yeah.
So now you just scoffed at me. China have a week in their calendar. It's called Dog Week, where they fatten up dogs, domestic or wild, and they eat them. They have a festival of dog.
How can you fatten up a wild dog?
Well, they fatten up domestic dogs, and they get
If the
the.
other dogs are in the wild, how do they fatten them up?
Well, they're fattened up
Do you
themselves.
think you could change the subject?
Yeah, I'm with you, Don.
I'm
Oh,
not.
no, just change it.
Yeah, I agree.
Well,
Do you? Now, can I ask you a question? Do you guys think
What's
of
wrong
the
with
future?
change? What's it matter?
John.
We're not suggesting
John.
you should eat dogs.
John,
Hello?
do you guys think of the future at all with
You
regard
cannot
to
be
your
serious.
grandchildren?
Yeah.
I'm going and I'm leading to
What are you leading to?
well, bureaucrats making decisions, and one is about this recycling waste that's going on at the moment. And it's a bane of mine that, we're paying rates and whatever else, and our councillors and administrators don't, or not responsible, or don't investigate what is actually happening to the waste. And we find out it's being stored out in the north of Melbourne, and then it's either shipped to China. China's not going to take it,
Or set on
it's going-
fire.
Yes, or it's going to go into landfill.
A lot of most of your waste, Donald, goes down to Werribee.
Okay.
Now, Donald,
That's a legitimate question he's raised.
we put rubbish in container ships and send it to Indonesia.
Why hasn't somebody developed with our technology and the recycling of waste, plastic waste? Can't it be recycled into something? It really is destroying the planet.
Why is it
and
made,
what a
Donald?
token effort by Woolworths or Coles or the supermarkets. You cannot get a plastic bag at the counter. You've got to buy one, yet all their packaging on the shelves is plastic.
Yeah.
You can't be
I
serious.
mean,
Do you know 90?
You cannot
It's
be
just,
serious.
they treat us as fools.
90%.
I mean, even this police investigation with Lawyer X, that's starting to come out now. And
90% of plastic waste in the world that goes into the oceans comes from 8 rivers. Two of them are in. Two of them are in.
How you going?
6 of them are in China, and two of them are in
Jeez.
Asia. I couldn't think of Asia. 2 of them are in Asia, and 6 of them are in China, and that is 90% of the plastic waste that goes into the oceans.
and they finish up in Port Phillip Bay because there are plastic bags found in Port Phillip Bay.
Is China in Asia?
You cannot be
No.
serious.
Well, I think it's a continent, isn't it?
No, China's not a continent.
No, it's not a continent.
No.
Asia's a continent. There's 7 continents, and they all start with A.
Yeah.
Okay.
They do too. I'll give you Australia. It's your turn.
Yeah, Antarctica,
Yeah. Asia. Africa.
Africa.
North America.
That starts with N.
Well, it's A. America, North America. Yep. Asia. What else?
Don't know.
Well, how many we got?
5.
We got 7. We got 2 to go.
Yeah.
Well, South America.
No, that's connected.
To what?
North America.
Is it?
Well,
No, it's
no,
not.
no, it's
that's
not.
why they've
There
got the
is.
migration problem.
What do you mean? They
it,
put the
Sammy?
Panama Canal across
We've
to
got
separate
we've got our researcher looking up. We've got our researcher looking up the 7 continents of the world.
Hey,
What?
okay, while she does that,
She,
while Jack
the
does
cat's
that,
mother.
Yes.
were you happy with Bernard Tomic putting himself through the marathon the other day of 39 minutes against De Manure?
Now, I'm sorry.
But that
I
was a
haven't caught up
second-rate
with
tournament, wasn't it?
Doesn't matter what tournament it was. I mean, this is yet again Tomic has brought himself and tennis into disgrace.
I
Yet
think
again.
Tomic is only trying to make. He might make 20,000 out of it as appearance or first.
But he lost
round.
all his Wimbledon money because he didn't have a crack.
But isn't he?
You cannot be serious.
He is challenging that, I think.
Have a guess which continent we forgot.
We had Australia.
Oh, okay, so these are they, the trusty assistant, the barrel girl here. Africa.
Yep.
Jeez, just gone off. Europe, I suppose. All right.
That's a
I know
silent
that doesn't
A.
start with
Yeah.
A. Yes. Asia, North America, South America, Australia, and Antarctica. That's 7. So Europe. So Asia. China is not. Is in Asia.
But
So
you think Europe's connected to Asia?
Well, they're all connected, Donald, except us.
Yes. And Antarctica.
We're the smallest continent in the world. But
Smallest what?
smallest continent.
In population, not in size.
Yes, size.
Would New
No,
Zealand
we're
be a
not, are
Are
continent?
we?
You're just making this up here.
No, I'm not.
You would have bluffed your way through school with this
We're the
rubbish.
smallest continent. So I'm asking you about these Master Chef people.
We've done that.
Did you ever watch it? Do you watch cooking shows?
No.
Are you interested in
No.
it? Do you think they've done their day?
I'm not even interested in cooking.
You can't be serious, man. You cannot
What do you?
be serious.
So what do you eat?
Takeaway?
Oh no!
I eat takeaway every day.
Really?
Unless-
Good, but not fast food. Good, nice hygiene, nutritional takeaway.
Like pizza and stuff, yeah.
Oh.
What?
What is your diet?
No wonder
Why do
you're
you reckon
looking
I've
pasty.
Why do you reckon I'm 90 kilos, Donald?
You are 90 kilos.
Yep.
Donald,
What size? What height are you?
About 5'3".
I played at 90 kilos. You're 5 foot.
Donald.
When you played on Ray Gabalick,
Nine. Oh no, I was less than that. I was about 80.
Now, Donald.
Yes, Johnny.
So I presume, I'm not trying to get into your personal life, but do you? I presume,
say
do you
something
live? Do you live on your own?
Yes.
Yes, good. And so do you cook up your own meals?
Yes.
Or do you? What, do you go down to the supermarket
Yes.
and
Yeah,
source?
that's where you normally buy your food.
Well, not necessarily. You
Oh.
go
He's
to
flying,
you
isn't
can
he?
source produce from a market.
You can.
Well, that's where
We
you
do
would.
not have a market on the peninsula.
Sorry, I
Oh, hang on. We do
Really?
Main
Don't.
Street of
Don't.
Main Street Mornington Wednesdays, but
you
I
don't have
go
a
there.
market on the peninsula. Donald, please.
I do go to the. I've got. I stand
So
to
do
be
you cook
corrected.
up vegetables and
Yes.
stuff,
Yes.
and you sit down to yourself with a
Yes.
glass of wine?
No,
and
no, not
chat
wine.
to yourself
Yeah, I
about
chat
life,
to myself.
and then you put
Put on the Netflix.
and then you climb into the rack,
That's right.
What time, Don?
unaccompanied.
What?
11 o'clock.
11?
11:30.
I thought you would have gone to bed
12.
about 7:30.
No.
Were you in
I
bed?
like my company, Michael.
You in
so
bed
I
looking-
stay up till all hours.
You
So
in
you can
be-
talk to yourself.
Yes.
Are you in bed looking for work, Donald?
Looking for work.
Did you have anyone ever come over?
Early.
What?
You can't
Early.
be serious, man. You cannot be serious.
What did he say? Barely?
Early.
Early?
Fictitious lady.
Really? Jeez, you're more cultured than I thought you were, Don.
Early. Holy mackerel.
What about...
I want to ask you this, Donald. And now this is, and I want to ask you this, Mick. The government have said that if you have been accused or convicted of assisting terrorists overseas, you are banned from coming back into Australia for 2 years.
I wouldn't let them in.
What would the 2 years be? Why would you ever be allowed back
You
in?
grow out of terrorism, do you?
That's in my point exactly. Who would make that decision?
It's bullshit anyway. They let them all back. And all that stuff about we're going to deport people, they never do. It's a farce. Government is a farce at every level.
Thank you very. That's the most well done.
Because
No, I've been waiting.
Thank you, Don.
You've got off the fence. I
Because-
agree wholeheartedly. Government it's an insult to our
At
intelligence.
every level.
It's shocking.
The
isn't
main
it?
street of Sorrento, which is just as a metaphor for what I'm talking about, that'll be turned into it'll look like New York shortly.
Which
Apartment
cannot
blocks
be
everywhere.
serious.
in Sorrento.
Yep.
It has. It is shocking, Michael.
No one cares about the character of their
That's
town
right.
or their city or their state or
And
their
we
country.
criticised Barry Humphries back in the 50s for what they were starting to do in Melbourne, and Melbourne has lost its character. They had some beautiful buildings.
I know.
It was very
Couldn't
reminiscent
agree
of,
more, Don.
very reminiscent of Prague.
I don't wish-
Czechoslovakia.
I agree wholeheartedly with you about the deportation, but I don't wish to be the devil's advocate. But the problem is with the lawyers and the do-good activists that if you are born here, you can't be deported anywhere.
I understand that.
So,
No, but I'm talking
John,
about
John, they've made a decision to go over there and fight. Stay there.
no, I agree with that. But then the civil rights people say, well, they should come back here and face due process here, and we have fallen for.
I'm
the
with Don.
correctness.
You made
So am
made
I.
the choice. Yep.
So we're just coming to an end of this. I want your opinion on this. This is government interference.
Yeah.
This is government. We spend $2.7 billion a year we put into poker machines. That is
You cannot be serious.
I can be. 530.
Sorry, hang on. Who spends the money?
The Victorian public.
Really?
$530 per head in this state
On pokies.
on pokies. Do you think it's about time the government got involved in our lives and told
What's
us
the,
not?
what's the government's percentage out of that, John?
I don't know. Donald.
Okay, well,
If I
that'd
could-
be the only reason. It's a source of income for the government. That is why it'll stay.
Well, what about you? No, talking about that, the family club, your Hawks.
Shocking, isn't
They
it?
make $22 million out of
Shocking.
pokies.
Shocking.
Jeez.
So
How could that be? How can you be a family club and admit to that?
Well, so this is in people interfering with your life. Do you think you should be told you're not allowed to have fun and go down and spend your family's life savings putting it into a poker machine, or do you have to be told that you can't do that? You can't eat fast food. You can't drink soft drinks. You can't smoke in the park.
No.
You can't do anything.
No, we have to make choices. I agree with that.
Yep.
But AFL football should definitely not be involved in this because it's a family sport, AFL footy.
But aren't the
Well,
AFL...
and why are you allowed
aren't the
to drink
AFL
at the games?
Well, because.
Alcohol is a big
Yeah, it is.
Problem?
Yep. Okay.
So it's just selective. It's all this selective stuff that you either have government interference or you are allowed to do almost what you like. Who decides?
The AFL is hypocritical in as much as it will not allow betting on within the
Players aren't allowed to bet.
yes, and officials. Yet they receive sponsorship and it's promoted on TV. Betting on AFL games. That's hypocritical.
Of course it is. But Sam's point is, do we have to protect people from themselves? Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly
Yeah.
my point.
I think sometimes we do.
Do we? So where do you draw? I'm not necessarily
You don't
disagreeing.
put- you
Where
don't
do you
put it
draw
out-
the line?
You don't put it out there so they can do it. You can stop the poker machines, and that
What about
Help.
smoking?
you can do that too.
No, you can't. Stop people smoking.
Far less people are smoking now.
I'm not
because
sure that's right.
Yes, it is.
Is it?
Yeah. Who do you know who smokes?
Not in our age group,
No.
but I think
Because they're dead.
I'm
Oh,
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that the sale.
the younger generation is smoking.
Yes.
They're not.
Did you think so?
No, they're not. I
No,
said they're not.
No, they're not. But they're taking drugs. So
Exactly.
They are. Yeah.
Exactly.
You ever taken drugs, Donald?
No.
Never, ever.
Never.
Never have a joint.
Never.
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 Put a straw to your hooter and
Never.
snort it up after
Never.
Serious!
Colombia.
Never.
You go mad if you did that. You're mad as it is.
Have you?
God, I can't get off it.
no, don't be
Serious.
flippant
No,
about
sorry.
it.
You cannot be serious!
Shut up.
But you have, haven't you?
Have what?
You've haven't you put something up your
Mick,
beak?
now, what a question that is. Because here's the two answers to that question. If you say you have, people say that's a disgrace. And if you say you haven't, they'll say
People
you're
say you're a
lying.
liar.
That's
Yeah.
right. So there's no answer to that.
Okay. I just thought I'd put it on the record. That's all.
Well,
Now-
I've said, so I'm a liar. I've said no to everything.
No, but some people can't say no to that question.
Yes.
You can.
I can easily say no to any question you ask me. I'm selective, give selective answers. Now, listen.
What about you, Michael?
What about me?
Well, have you tried them?
Which?
Well, the drugs. I don't
No,
know.
I've had a joint one day, and it's
cannot
I was
be
looking at the
serious.
roof spin after I had about three
That's the
sucks on
idea.
this joint,
Well, that's the idea of it.
and then I
Give you a rush.
My remedy for all these things is to walk, and I reckon I walked from Brighton to Carrum. I think trying to regain my composure.
Bouncing from pillar to post.
That was the last time I encountered it, Don.
Righto, Donald. Final thoughts here. This is Mike, Don, and Sam, but it's called You Cannot Be Serious. Any final thoughts? Any announcements you'd like to make?
No, I think at junior level, I watched a football show on the weekend on Channel 31, Saturday morning,
I want to.
on local football. And local football at a grassroots level, I think, is in a lot of trouble.
Now, here's my final question to you both.
And just ignored that.
Well, you exactly, he's ignored that.
Just let that fly over the top of your head.
Well, how about you answer him?
Well, I agree, but I
It-
don't have the solution.
Well,
What is the
down in
solution?
Gippsland, they're particularly worried. I saw it was coming out of Gippsland, and you just wonder whether some of these communities with their football teams can exist. And they're now asking. You know, they've been rejigged. The leagues have been rejigged. They don't travel as far. I know down in the team that I follow, Sorrento, the league has been rejigged. They're 20% down on their gate taking.
Yeah, but Sorrento's healthier than about 8 AFL clubs.
How about this, Donald, for a solution? The AFL have recently ceased the cost of living allowance for the northern...
What has that got to
Recently,
do with
it was
local
about
football?
3 years ago.
If you'll let me finish, Donald.
COLA, it's called, John.
That's right, cost of living allowance. That's an acronym. Donald, how about the AFL and its auspices try and help grassroots football by giving a cost of living allowance to people who wish to go into the country and play football for these dying leagues?
What?
What? Exactly what?
What are you...
What are you on about?
Well, if some of these leagues out in the country are struggling, how about they pay players to go out and live out in those areas?
Are you talking about decentralisation of the population?
I'm talking about trying to promote players to leave the city and go and play in these...
No, that's not the... You've missed the whole problem, John. There are rivalries within these country leagues. Now, I was just saying the one that I'm familiar with. On the peninsula, there's a couple of teams still in the league, but a lot of teams are now in another division.
Yes.
And so consequently, the teams or the crowds or supporters will not travel. Your gates are now down because the local rivalries are not there. And they've rejigged them. The Yarra Valley, I know, is playing over with... that's been broken up, so they're playing Berwick.
Gerrymandered the districts.
And I know the Gippsland one is particularly...
Gerrymandered.
A lot of teams down there in Gippsland are wondering where they're going to go. And I think there's going to be a real summit. Having listened to what this Channels 31 program was saying on Saturday morning.
Deep into this because it's a complex issue, but aren't the kids in country towns, as we knew them, don't they all come to the city now?
And that is another problem. Well done. They do, but they're promoting under-19 football, Michael. And so when a boy reaches, they've graduated from school at 18, they're off to the city. There used to be an under-18 competition. You still had the boys playing or living at home.
Hence my original suggestion, a cost of living allowance to have people stay out in the country and play.
So these are local issues, Michael. Yes, that is very true. They're a local issue and they're not familiar with local football.
Now, I've taken on board and I did listen, and that was an extremely good point, Donald. Now I'm moving on to the final topic.
Yeah.
Wrap your head around this. And Mick, this is something you might get a bit jumpy about, but it's happening. There's a man called Jonathan Yanev, and he's changed himself into calling himself Jessica. He's a transgender person, and he's been going into Canadian beauty shops and demanding that the beauticians in the bikini wax beauty shops give him a bikini wax. And when he takes his...
serious, man. You cannot be serious!
When he takes his gear off, the technicians and the girls employed in the beauty salons are confronted with the steak and two veg, the genitalia, because he hasn't had the snip or his anything removed. And they have refused to give him a bikini wax, and he's trying them on, and he's sued them. Some of them have gone out of business, and some of them have had to pay damages because he will not get the service of getting a bikini wax because he's actually not a woman.
He's just being an opportunist, isn't he?
That is what he's doing. So why
he didn't win a civil action, did he?
He did. Why are people being sued for that?
You
and
cannot be serious!
And why is that numbskull Trudeau, who is the Prime Minister or Prime Minister of Canada, who is seriously...
he's Pierre's son, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a dill. He's trying to be...
Do we go to Canada?
But no, John, he is the same it's the world over.
So why do we... So if you say that is ridiculous, you are suddenly transphobic, and it is nonsense. And why the world puts up with that, I'm not sure.
We're not transphobic. That's... No. Last one. No, it doesn't require any comment, this.
I'm sure you said one.
Quan, he said Quan.
Quan could have said anything.
Dougie Hawkins is smarter than any of us, and you actually lampoon Dougie. Dougie Hawkins is a lollipop man, and they get $105,000 a year for turning a sign from slow to stop.
$60 an hour. I don't lampoon him. I just say it's because he says I arcs. That's all I say about him. I've asked him several times to say ask, and he said, "All right, I'll say arcs." I said, "It's ask, Doug." He said,
"That's all." I just wanted that on the record. Hey, you were very good today, Donald.
Michael,
very good.
That's very insincere.
Hang on. Let's just let people who listen to this be the judge.
No, in my view, as a
anyhow,
listener,
as we used to finish on a particular song that suited the time, but this is our consistent end theme.
What happened to the Beast?
Go ahead.